In the velvet silence of the night sky, when the world slips into slumber and dreams stir gently beneath closed eyes, there is a presence who reigns above all. A silver chariot, drawn by snow-white horses, glides across the heavens, and at its helm stands she, the moon incarnate, the goddess they once called Selene. Before Artemis, before Hecate, there was Selene. Selene was born of the Titans, Hyperion, the god of light, and Theia, goddess of sight and heavenly radiance. From these primordial forces came three shining children: Helios, the sun; Eos, the dawn; and Selene, the moon. But while her siblings blazed with warmth and golden fire, Selene was clothed in mystery. Her beauty was ethereal, pale and glowing, her hair black as the void behind her, her brow crowned with a crescent of luminous silver. She was not of the world of mortals, nor fully of the gods. She belonged to the realm of night, of dreams, and secrets whispered under the stars. Each night, Selene drove her chariot drawn by two shining horses, or four in some accounts, across the sky. Their names were Phaethon and Lampus, meaning radiant and torch. The moonlight they cast was not passive. It was a gaze, a watching, an omen, an enchantment. In esoteric traditions, the lunar chariot is not merely transport, it is initiation. The journey of the soul through phases of darkness and light, ascent through celestial spheres. Selene's path across the sky is the soul's journey through the lunar mysteries, where death is not an end, but a reflection and renewal. Though rarely discussed in mainstream myths, Selene is sometimes linked to a tripartite lunar form, waxing, full, and waning, echoing the goddess trinity later associated with Hecate, Artemis, and Selene herself. But ancient oracles whispered a deeper secret. Selene was all three phases. In her waxing form, she was Fursaphata, the bringer of light from the underworld. In her fullness, she was Mene, the embodiment of the moon's raw power, and in her waning, she was Levana, the lifter of veils, ushering sleep, prophecy, and death. In mystery cults, this triple lunar form symbolized initiation, illumination, and dissolution, the stages of sacred transformation. One of the most haunting myths tells of Endymion, the shepherd or prince, depending on the tale, who was loved by Selene. His beauty captivated her, and she visited him each night as he lay in eternal sleep. But here lies the secret most overlooked. Endymion did not merely fall asleep. He was granted eternal slumber by Zeus, at Selene's request or as punishment. Accounts differ. Yet this sleep was not death, it was stasis. He would not age nor awaken. In this paradox, he lived forever beneath her gaze, a mortal soul trapped in timeless dream. Esoterically, Endymion represents the passive receptive soul, while Selene embodies the active divine mind. Their union is symbolic of the lunar kiss of enlightenment, when the sleeping self is touched by celestial gnosis. Some mystery schools saw Endymion's cave not as literal, but as an inner cave of the mind, where the moonlight of Selene descends to illuminate the initiate in dream vision. In Orphic hymns, Selene is more than a goddess. She is a cosmic force. She is called bull-horned, night-wandering, luminous-eyed. Her radiance governs not only tides and fertility, but also prophecy, madness, and divine madness known as theomania. In chthonic, underworld rites, Selene's moon was the only light permitted in nocturnal ceremonies. Her name was invoked in silence, her image drawn in circles. To the initiated, she was the veil between worlds. In ancient esoteric doctrine, the moon was not just a celestial body. It was a mirror, a sacred reflector of the soul. Selene, as the moon, does not create her own light. She reflects. But reflection is not imitation, it is revelation. Just as the moon reveals the hidden shapes of the night, Selene reveals what is hidden in us. She governs the subconscious, the astral plane, and the karmic memory. In dreamwork, Selene is said to preside over lunar gates, where souls may glimpse their past and future lives. The Pythagoreans believed that the soul journeyed through Selene's realm after death, shedding earthly burdens before reaching the higher ether. She is more than myth, more than goddess. She is the curve of time itself, arcing across the night in silver silence. And as she fades beyond the horizon, know this: Selene is never gone. She is watching. She is dreaming. And perhaps, so are you. If you're enjoying this journey through the forgotten goddess Selene and her hidden mysteries, consider subscribing to Ancient Untold Stories. Like, comment, and share so we can continue to bring the sacred past back to light. You followed Selene through the night sky, her silver chariot illuminating the silent world below. But her power does not end with moonlight. It extends downward, into ritual, into the mysteries of shadow, and into the hidden heart of ancient initiation. Though no major temples to Selene survived the passage of time, scattered traces point to the existence of moon priestesses, women who served her in nocturnal rites outside the city bounds. They were not public figures like the Vestals of Hestia, but guardians of hidden knowledge. Lunar rites were often held in groves or caves, far from the eyes of the uninitiated. Here, under full moon, they whispered her hymns and practiced rites meant to purify the soul, reveal the future, or communicate with spirits. Some scholars believe these priestesses were linked to Thessalian witchcraft, known for their ability to draw down the moon into a bowl of water, a rite perhaps invoking Selene directly, her light refracted through the veil of mortality. In esoteric teachings, Selene was the regulator of sacred blood. The moon governed not only tides and dreams, but also the rhythms of the human body, especially women. The monthly cycle of bleeding was not seen as impurity in ancient lunar cults. It was a mark of alignment with Selene. In some mystery traditions, menstrual blood was considered the most powerful offering, sacred to the moon. Thus, Selene was not only a figure of beauty, but of raw, elemental power. The moon's eclipse, when Selene appeared darkened, was viewed as a ritual of cosmic absorption, a time when offerings were made in secret and portals were said to open between worlds. While Selene never had a mystery cult to rival Demeter or Dionysus, she was invoked within many of them. In Orphic hymns, she is praised not merely as a celestial being, but as a giver of life and destroyer of illusions. She was the nocturnal gatekeeper, appearing in visions to initiates after long fasts and meditative rites. In the Eleusinian mysteries, the moon played a silent but powerful role. It was said that no true initiation could occur unless the moon was visible. Selene's presence symbolized the readiness of the soul to enter the realm of death and rebirth, to descend like Persephone and rise again purified. Some ancient texts refer to the lunar key, a symbolic tool given to initiates, said to unlock the passage between worlds. It was Selene, not Hades, who opened this door. In Hellenistic esoteric traditions, Selene was associated with silver, water, and Mercury. She was the feminine aspect of the alchemical union, representing cooling, reflecting, and dissolution. To the alchemist, Selene was not a goddess to be worshipped, but a force to be integrated. Her role was in solve et coagula, to dissolve illusions and then reflect truth. In Hermetic texts, the moon was the mother of the work, the albedo phase in the great work, where purification and reflection prepared the soul for enlightenment. Selene's light was not blinding, but gentle, revealing inner forms, shadows, and forgotten memories, layer by layer. In the classical era, Selene's identity began to fade, not because she lost power, but because her aspects were absorbed into newer deities. Artemis, the huntress, took the mantle of virgin moon goddess, young, wild, and free. Hecate, goddess of sorcery and the crossroads, took Selene's darker sides, prophecy, night terrors, and necromantic rites. But in truth, they were never separate. In the deeper traditions, all three were aspects of the same lunar archetype. Selene was the primordial moon, the still and watching eye before the myths began to fracture. While Artemis chased stags and Hecate ruled the threshold, Selene remained unchanging, eternal in the sky, and woven into every silver thread of night. Some symbols of Selene rarely appear in public myths, but were etched in secret scrolls and inscribed in cave walls. The crescent and mirror, symbol of reflection, both of light and truth. The serpent moon, coiled energy of lunar kundalini, awakening not through fire, but through dreams. The three droplets, often found under crescent motifs, believed to symbolize the three waters of Selene: memory, forgetting, and foresight. In some Eastern-influenced philosophies, Selene's lunar aspect was also associated with the pineal gland, the inner eye, the moon within the mind. The moon is not only seen, she is felt. Her light moves across the skin like memory, like touch from another realm. Selene was never just a myth. She was a force, an intelligence woven into the architecture of time, dream, and destiny. Tonight, we follow her further, into the stars, into the temples, into the scrolls where her name is written in cipher. Though later eclipsed by planetary gods like Mercury and Saturn, Selene was once central to early celestial observation. In Mesopotamian and Hellenistic astrology, the moon, called Selene by the Greeks and Sin by the Akkadians, was not a passive reflector, but an active timekeeper of fate. She governed the natal hour, the body, and the emotional tides. But beyond that, Selene held dominion over what was called the hileg, the vital point in a birth chart that determined a soul's purpose and vulnerability. Selene's presence was most keenly felt not in temples, but in dreams. The ancients practiced oniromancy, divination through dreams, as a sacred art, and Selene was its patron. Under her full light, dream incubation rituals were performed. Devotees would sleep on sacred skins in moonlit groves or near springs, having purified themselves by fasting and silence. In dreams, Selene would appear, not always as a woman, but as light, as song, or as a mirror reflecting the dreamer's true form. Esoteric texts describe her as the goddess of the liman, the threshold between waking and spirit. To receive a dream from Selene was to touch truth without language. These dreams were not to be interpreted rationally. They were rituals in symbol, revealed only through intuition. Unlike the great sun temples built high upon hills, Selene's sanctuaries were hidden in lowlands, caves, and near water. One such place is thought to have been the cave of Phanagoria in the Crimea, once sacred to lunar rites. There, an altar carved with crescent moons and 3 stars stood at the mouth of a cavern where the moonlight entered only during full moons. In Anatolia, ancient priestesses of the moon goddess, possibly a local variant of Selene, performed oracles inside deep limestone caves where moonlight struck pools of water, creating shimmering visions said to induce trance. These were not places of public worship. They were initiatory spaces, where Selene's reflection on water became the first mirror the soul saw before learning to see itself. Fragments of magical papyri, such as those compiled in the Greek magical papyri, include invocations not of Artemis or Hecate, but to Selene Chthoniya, Selene of the underworld. These were not prayers, they were keys. Her names were written in spirals, triple circles, or beside symbols of water, horned crescents, and 7 stars. Her sacred sigil, often misattributed to later moon goddesses, was a spiral within a crescent, used to unlock visions or open protective barriers during nocturnal rites. Some texts describe an Eye of Selene, a meditative visualization where the initiate imagines a silver eye above their head, slowly opening to reveal phases of their past lives. This was known as the mirror rite, and it was said that only those who could face the final waning moon would pass unscathed. In ancient philosophy, particularly within Neoplatonism and Hermetic thought, the moon governed the first stage of death and the last gate of rebirth. The soul, after departing the body, would ascend through planetary spheres. But the moon was the first and most dangerous sphere, for here, Selene stood as judge. She reflected all actions, all memories, all truths. If the soul was not ready, clouded by illusion or fear, it would be turned back, reincarnated again. But if purified, it would rise onward, eventually to the stars. This concept survives faintly in the phrase Selene's veil, a symbolic barrier between one life and the next. She did not grant immortality, but illumination, through reflection, through sorrow, and through stillness. Selene does not shout, she does not strike, she reflects. And in that reflection, we are asked a final question. Can we bear to see ourselves? Her mysteries were not for power, they were for remembering. Who we were before names, before masks, before myths. She was the first goddess to see you as you are, without disguise, without title, only the soul and the silver eye of the moon. And when her chariot disappears into the west, she takes nothing with her. She leaves only the question and the silence. Watch the sky tonight. She rides still, and somewhere in that glow, Selene remembers you.